This lesson covers graphs of data and measures of spread. Again, measures of spread are mean, median, range, mode. Number 1, in late August of last year, Pie D Restaurant sponsored its first pizza eating contest. For the contest, the number of slices of cheese pizza eaten by each contestant were counted. The histogram below summarizes the data. Use the histogram to answer each of the questions. All right, so looking at the chart here, on the bottom it says number of pizza slices, and they broke it into even widths all the way across from 6 to 10 pieces, 11 to 15 pizzas, and so on. And then going up is the frequency of how many contestants ate that many pizzas. So between 6 and 10 slices being eaten was done by 3 contestants. So letter A, how many contestants ate from 11 to 15 slices? So from 11 to 15 slices was going over 5. 5 of them ate that many. Letter B, how many contestants ate 16 or more slices? So 16 and up, so that's going to be more than one bar. So that could be 16 to 20, 21 to 25, or 26 to 30. So we have to add up all 3 of these columns. So all 3 of those columns are 4, and then 7, and then the last column went up to 8. So add 4, 7, and 8. So 19 contestants ate 16 or more pizza slices. Then it asked, what is the class width? So the class width is how wide the bands are. And this is kind of tricky because you might want to just think about 10 minus 6 and say it's 4 wide, but it's the number of pizza slices they ate. They could have ate 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 pizza slices. So when you think about it, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 5 different choices or 5 numbers. So I don't know, if you want to make a formula out of it, you could say that the width would be the number on the left minus the number on the right, and then you still have to add one more. So 10 minus 6 is 4, and then add one more, you get 5, or just think about it. At like 11 to 15, the number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, there were 5 different choices, or 5 numbers to choose from between 11 and 15, so that was the width of it. Number 2, the stem and leaf display below gives the test scores for the 17 students in Professor Yang's management class. Use the display to answer the questions that follow. All right, so on a stem and leaf graph, they're trying to save space from having to write all the numbers out. So instead, that's the first number, and they use the key down here. The key is 6/0 means the number 60. So 60, 62, 66, 71, 73, 75, 75, 76, 79, 79. I wrote them all out. What was the lowest score in the 70s? Well, that would be 71. What was the highest score overall? 92. And last of all, how many students scored in the 80s? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them did. Or you just could count over here that there were 5 of them. You didn't need to write them all out. I just wrote them out so that you can understand what a stem and leaf display means. Number 3. The citizens of a city were asked to choose their favorite type of pet. The circle graph shows how many of the citizens answered. If 100,000 citizens answered the question, how many of them chose dog? Well, 22% of them chose a dog, or 22% of 100,000. So 0.22 times 100,000 is 22,000 people. Number 4, the circle graph shows the annual budget for a company is divided by department. If the amount budgeted for editorial and engineering combined is $31,250,000, what is the total annual budget? Well, editorial and engineering are 7% and 8%, or a total of 25% of the budget. So 25% of the total was $31,250,000. So if you want to figure out what the total was, we're going to have to divide by the number 0.25. It's like saying 0.25 times x equals that big number, so it's multiplied, so you're going to divide to get the answer of 125 million. Number 5, there were 750 books sold last year at Sid's bookstore. The table below summarizes these books by genre. The information is also presented as a circle graph. Find the central angle x for the romance slice in the circle graph. Do not round. All right, so what you need to do is add up how many books they sold altogether, and that was 750, which they did tell us up there. And 144 of those out of the total 750 were romance. So 144 out of 750 would be 19.2% or 0.192. Remember, a circle has 360 degrees, so this piece of pie here would be that percentage of all the degrees in the circle. So 0.192 times 360 gives you 69.12 degrees. And they said to give the exact answer and do not round. Number 6. A zoo has some new exhibits. In a survey, 2,000 zoo attendees are asked to choose their favorite. The results are shown in the following table. Find the percentage for each type of animal. So 480 said they loved the elephants, 960 said they liked pandas, 340 tiger, and bonobos were 220. Gosh, I'd have to agree about the pandas. The pandas are really fun. The Columbus Zoo had pandas for a while. I love them. It was a temporary exhibit they didn't get to keep, and then it was replaced with bonobos, which are super fun. Apparently they have the closest DNA to humans. Just a fun little fact for you. But they're really fun, kind of a gorilla type animal. They're fun. Anyway, so they'd like us to find the percentage. So 480 out of the total 2,000 gives you 0.24 or 24%, or 960 out of 2,000 is 0.48, and so on. So all these numbers need divided by 2,000 to find out the percent. And this is fun to be able to draw this by hand. I did for my scale centimeters, so I measured from 1 to 10 centimeters. And so for the first one here for 24%, that was 2.4 centimeters. And then I had to add on to get 48%, I had to go over the 24 plus 48, which adds to 72. So I went over 7.2 centimeters, and then adding on another 17 for this one, it got me over to 89. And last of all, that would be left would be the 11%. So that made a bar graph for it. Kind of fun. Number 7. It says the following list gives the number of public libraries in each of 11 cities. Find the mode of the data set. Again, the mode is the one that occurs the most frequently. Here, the numbers 7, 8, and 9 all occurred 3 times, so they're all the mode because they all occurred the same amount of times. Number 8. Shen is recording the percentages he earned on each quiz in his math class. Here are his results for the last 7 quizzes. Find the range of the data set. Again, the range is the high minus the low. His highest grade was 82, and his lowest grade was 65. Subtract, you get 17. Number 9, 10 adults were asked how many different jobs they have had. Their answers are shown in the line plot below. So, 2 people had 3 jobs. One person only had 5. One person had 5 jobs, another person had 6, and then 5 people have had 7 jobs, and then 1 person had 9 jobs. So they asked for the range, so the highest number 9 minus the lowest number 3, and that gives you 6. The mode's the number that occurs the most, well, that would be 7 jobs, because it occurred 5 times. All right, number 10. On number 10, it says a group of 6 students was asked, how many hours did you watch television last week? Here are their responses. Find the mean or average number of hours of these students. If necessary, round your answer to the nearest tenth. Again, the mean or average are all the numbers added together or the sum total of all of them. So if you add them all up, they add up to 68, and then you divide by how many numbers are there. And there were 6 numbers there. Divide, you get 11.3 repeating, which to the nearest tenth is 11.3. All right, just to show you something fun, I'll show you a few times. You can use your fancy calculator on these. On your fancy calculator, you're going to want to, of course, turn it on. Then you go down to the second line down that says stat. And then the edit comes up. Hit enter. And if there's stuff in there for list already, this is list 1, list 2. If there's stuff in there, go up to the top, hit clear, go down, and it's gone. So I can enter these numbers that I have here. 5, hit enter. 16, enter. 16, enter. 12, enter. And then 8. So I have 6 numbers on my list. All right, then you go back to the word stat. We have three menus up here. We want to go over one menu to calculate, and it's the very first choice, one variable stats. Hit enter, and you want list to say list one because we're finding the stats on list one. Go down, hit calculate, and X with the hat on is the average, which we already got, 11.3. And just to help you out, sigma x means all of the x added together, so that would have been all of these numbers added up. 5 plus 16 plus 16 plus 12, 11, and 8 all add up to 68. And then sigma of all the numbers squared is this number. So 5 squared, 16 squared, 16 squared, 12 squared, 11 squared, 8 squared. Square them all, sum them up, you get 866. S of x, Sx is standard deviation. The standard deviation for the list is 4.366. Omega x is the population deviation. N equals 6 means how many numbers were on our list. We had 6 numbers on our list, and then going down, using your down arrow key, minimum number in our list was 5. That's the smallest number. Quartile 1 was 8. The median number, the number in the middle, is 11.5 when listed least to greatest. Quartile 3 was 18, and then the max on the whole list was 16. So something kind of fun, kind of overkill to do the math problem there. You're welcome. Number 11. It says below are the line plots for 2 data sets. They would like us to find the mean of each data set, so the average of it. So we have the number 2 once, the number 3 2 times, the number 4 twice, the number 5 twice, the number 6 twice, and the number 7 once. So 2's once, 3 was twice, 4 was 2 times, 5 was 2 times, and so on. So add up the sum of all the numbers. You can, like I did here, just multiply by how many times they were there. Or you can add them up individually. 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7 adds up to 45. And then divide by how many numbers we had. We had 10 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same idea over here. We had 5 twice, 6 4 times, 7 twice. The sum total, that's 48. Divided by how many numbers you have 8 x's. So we had 8 numbers, and that gives you the mean is 6. Number 12, a car salesman has 6 used cars for sale. They have a mean price of $5,500. What is the total price of all of the cars? Well, when we find the mean or the average again, it's the sum total divided by how many numbers you have, and that gives you the mean. Well, they told us the mean. The mean was $5,500. And they told us that we had 6 cars. So the sum total of all the money divided by 6 was $5,500. So to find out what the sum total of all of it was, you got to multiply it. So 6 times 5,500 because it's a proportion you cross multiply. Or you can it just makes sense. Each car was $5,500. If you average them all out, each one is $5,500. And again, there could have been a car for $100 and another car for $15,000. We don't know, but when you average them all out, it came to $5,500 each. Number 13. It says on 13, I'm going to go with Yana. Has scored 61, 89, and 94 on her previous 3 tests. What score did she need on her next test so that her average or mean is 77? So we know 3 of her scores, and we don't know 1. One of them's missing. So we have a total of 4 scores. We want the mean or the average to be 77. So again, we kind of have a proportion. We can multiply across. So 4 times the 77, it gets you down to 308. And then these 3 numbers here added up to 244. So then 308 minus 244 gives you 64. So make a proportion out of it. Number 14, a private college advertised that last year their freshman class, on average, had a score of 1180 on the SAT. Assuming that average refers to the mean, which of the following claims must be true based on this information? Note, more than one statement could be true. If none of the statements are true, mark the appropriate box. So they said, based on the claims, which must be true. So it has to be true. All right, so the first one, it says last year, some of the freshman students had a score of exactly 1180 on the SAT. Well, they really might have, but we really don't know. It was an average of 1180. So somebody might have had one. And then the next one says next year. Well, the problem with this question right off the bat was this is all about last year, so we don't care. Let's move on. Next one, last year, at least one of the freshman students had a score of less than 1460. Well, of course somebody scored less than 1460 because the average was 1180. So yeah, that definitely happened. And then on the next one it says last year more than half of the freshman students had a score of at least 1180. Now, if they would have told us that 1180 was the median, well then that would be true because 1180 would be the number in the middle of the list, so half of them would have scored higher and half of them lower. But they didn't say it was the median, they said it was the average. And the average is not necessarily right in the middle of the numbers. Next one, last year all the freshman students had a score of at least 1180 on the SAT. No, if they all had at least that score, then the average would have been higher. So that's just not possible. 15. On 15 it says, the following summarizes the number of fiction books read last year by a sample of 28 students. What is the mean number of books read? Round your answer to the nearest 10. So we've done ones like this before. So 3 students read 2 books, so 3 and 3. 10 students read 3 books, and then 15 students read 4 books. So let's see, the following summarize 28 students. What is the number of books read? All right, so 3 students read 2, so that 2 numbers there 3 times. And then 10 students read 3 books, so we'd need that listed out technically 10 times. But again, you don't need to do that. So it's 3 times 2, 10 times 3, 15 times 4, and then divide by the total number of students, which was 28. And so that gives you the answer there of 3.4. Number 16. Says on 16, each of 6 students reported the number of movies they saw in the last year. This is what they reported. Find the median and mean number of movies that the students saw. So doing the median, you're supposed to put the numbers in order from least to greatest, and then the number in the middle is the median. This has 2 numbers in the middle of the list, 10 and 14. So when that happens, you add the 2 numbers together and divide by 2. And so the median is 12. Again, the mean is the sum total of all the numbers added up divided by how many numbers you have. So adding up all the numbers, it adds up to 79, and there were 6 numbers. So that's 13.2. And so just to show you again how you could do it on the calculator if you want to overachieve. All right, again, turn it on, hit clear. We're going to go back to stat, hit enter for edit, go to the top of the list, clear it out to get rid of whatever's there. And then let's put the numbers in. 20, enter. 7, enter. 10, enter. 20, 8, 14. Then you go back to stat, go over one menu to calculate, one variable stat, hit enter. Go down to calculate. I got list 1 in there, so that's what we're going to do one variable stats on. Hit enter. So the average is the X with the bar on top. So the average is 13.16 repeating, which is what we got right here. Let's see, down there. So 13.16 repeating, which was 13.2. And so again, the sum of all the numbers was 79. The sum of all the numbers squared was 1209. The standard deviation, the population deviation, there were 6 numbers in the list. Going down with the down arrow key, the median is 12. So that was the other number we wanted, and that's what we got when we did it by hand. And then again, that's the minimum number on our list, the maximum number on the list, quartile 1 and quartile 3. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.